The Democratic Party suffering another setback as it tries to move past the 2016 election, and it seems Hillary Clinton just won't go away. Former Democratic National Committee chairwoman Donna Brazile now accusing Clinton of hacking the DNC to steal the nomination from her chief rival, Bernie Sanders. Joining me now is Bruce Mehlman, a strategist for Mehlman, Castanetti, Rosen, and Thomas, and a good friend, and I'm glad that you're here in studio even.
Thanks for having me.
So this is a bit of something that you could look at it both ways. Some people like Nancy Pelosi are saying, oh, I don't even know anything about this. I'm not even looking into it. And then you have someone like Elizabeth Warren, the senator from Massachusetts, saying, absolutely, she's right. And it was rigged against Bernie Sanders. What do you think?
You know, it probably was, although you could argue, as many would, that the DNC was bankrupt. President Obama was focusing on Obama for America, and somebody needed to raise the money. But I think the debate over whether it was or wasn't rigged in 2016, the reaction from Senator Warren is a skirmish. And the real war is over what's the Democratic Party stand for? What's the future of the party? And so many folks have spent so much time on the Republican circular firing squad that they haven't noticed that right next door there's a Democratic circular firing squad.
Well, and then for the past year, the Democrats have really been focusing on allegations of Russian collusion, and not really sort of sitting down and figuring out why did we lose in 2016 and how can we go forward. And we were talking in the green room about some recent commentary by Democratic senior guys saying, I think we're losing the plot here.
Yeah, you know, both parties are facing civil wars. There are four parties right now. We used to think there's the Republicans and the Democrats, but there are really two. The Steve Bannon part Donald Trump Republican Party, which is much more populist, is very different than the Mitt Romney, Paul Ryan party of 2012. And similar to the Democrats, you have Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren driving the party hard left. The commentary you described suggests that Donald Trump's on track to get reelected. And the theory of that case is that the Democrats are going to go hard left, single payer, end up with Elizabeth Warren as likely as not as their standard bearer, and then an independent will run in the middle, and Donald Trump will win with the same 42% that Bill Clinton won with in 1992. Is there
an issue, or should it be a leader that tries to pull these competing units together on either the Republican or the Democratic side?
Boy, that's a great question.
Thank you.
And it's easy to you know these things in history as to why realignments happened, and there always is a leader when you're done. You will always find, whether it's Franklin Roosevelt or Teddy Roosevelt or Ronald Reagan, there's always, in retrospect, a leader. The question is, are we looking at any of the leaders today? Right now, the parties, you take a look at the Republican Party, you know, are they pro-trade or anti-trade? And the answer is it depends which Republican you're asking about. Steve Bannon's been quoted saying we need to tax the rich. That is not Republican orthodoxy during my tenure in the Republican Party.
But it is in the new tax bill that the Republicans introduced yesterday.
Well, there's a lot of debate about that, and I don't recall if Mark Short a moment ago answered whether it raises it or doesn't, but the commentary seems to suggest the top rates are going up.
You wrote about, and you did a big piece on the new Gilded Age. What does that mean, and how did the parties try to address that?
You know, when you think of what's going on today, and whether it's in the economy like Uber or politics like Donald Trump, you realize that we're in an age of profound disruption, and you're seeing political, economic, social, and technological accelerating change. And if you go back and you try to understand when has this ever happened and how does it turn out in American history, what you find is you go back to the Gilded Age. And in the Gilded Age, you had two elections out of 20-year period when the winner of the Electoral College was not the winner of the popular vote. Sound familiar?
Yes.
You had red states and blue states. Back then, the red was all the north and the blue was all the south. Now the red's all the middle and the blue's all the coasts. You had gridlock in Congress, just like we're seeing. Economically, back then, you had, if you looked at where jobs were, you had jobs in ag going down and jobs in this new industrial sector going up. Now you have jobs in manufacturing going down, even though we're making more, and you have jobs in services going up. And similarly, technologically, you had the robber barons with electricity and steel and oil and the internal combustion engine transforming the economy. These days, it's the internet, it's mobility, and soon it's things like artificial intelligence. They're exciting, but they make people feel very dislocated. People feel very disrupted, and what we saw in the Gilded Age was people elected there were populist outbreaks, Williams, Jennings, Bryan, Cross of Gold, and then the two main parties meaningfully reformed and evolved, and we entered an era of about 20, 30 years of very profound reforms.
Fascinating. But you can check out, you have a new Gilded Age at your social media accounts, right?
You can track it down, yeah.
All right. Then Bruce Mehlman, thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having me.